On a peaceful autumn morning, Lucy Stanton finds herself at a crossroads in life. Recently widowed, with a young daughter to care for, and no financial resources, she sees an opportunity that could change the course of her lives. When Elizabeth Montgomery, an elderly and wealthy widow, needs a new housekeeper for her grand mansion, Lucy sees a chance for a fresh start. But appearances can be deceiving, and the Montgomery mansion hides secrets that could be either Lucy's salvation or her undoing. As she delves deeper into the mansion's mysteries, she discovers that the truth may be far more dangerous than she ever imagined. Lucy Stanton, in her modest kitchen, contemplated the last bills accumulated on the table while her daughter, Annie, played peacefully on the floor. Tom's recent passing has left Lucy not only a widow, but also in a precarious financial situation. That morning, she decided it was time to take drastic action. Among the worn pages of the local newspaper, an advertisement caught his attention. Elizabeth Montgomery, an elderly widow, was looking for a housekeeper for her mansion. The offer included housing, a living wage and stability, everything Lucy needed. With bated breath of hope, she wrote down the number and prepared herself for the call that could change their lives. After exchanging phone calls, Lucy and Annie were invited to the Montgomery mansion for an interview. Holding tightly to Annie's hand, Lucy walked through the gates that opened to a world of possibilities. The mansion stood majestically, with gardens that stretched out like an invitation to a new beginning. Elizabeth greeted them at the entrance with a welcoming presence that relieved the intimidating formality of her large home. During the interview, Lucy explained her situation and skills honestly, while Elizabeth listened with an empathy that transcended the typical formalities of a job interview. The conversation flowed naturally, and Lucy felt an instant connection that is rarely found in such circumstances. As the interview concluded, Elizabeth proposed a walk through the gardens to discuss the details of the work. The conversation took a more personal tone, where Elizabeth shared her loneliness and desire to have a full house again. Moved by Elizabeth's genuineness and warmth, Lucy accepted the job offer on the spot. Elizabeth, relieved and happy, expressed her excitement about having Lucy and Annie as part of her home. As she left the mansion that afternoon, with the promise of a new beginning, Lucy felt the shadows of her worries begin to dissipate, replaced by a ray of sunshine that promised better days. The morning was bright and cool when Lucy and Annie, carrying their few possessions, crossed the threshold of the Montgomery mansion. The atmosphere was one of newness and expectation, mixed with a hint of nervousness. Lucy felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, while Annie, dazzled by the grandeur of the place, explored every corner with curious eyes. Elizabeth welcomed them with a warm smile, showing them the spaces they would now call home. Elizabeth's enthusiasm in helping them settle in eased Lucy's insecurities, strengthening her hope that perhaps they had truly found a new beginning. After arrival and a brief settling in, Elizabeth decided to give Lucy a more detailed tour of the mansion. The mansion turned out to be not only large, but full of stories and memories from other times. Each room had its own character, decorated with antiques and paintings that spoke of generations past. Lucy was particularly touched by the library, a vast space filled with books old and new. Elizabeth shared stories of her late husband, who had spent many hours among those books, and Lucy felt a connection, a bond through their shared loss. Night fell over the mansion with a peaceful stillness. Lucy put Annie to sleep in her new room, which was full of toys that Elizabeth had prepared for the girl. Alone in her own room, Lucy reflected on the day's events. Elizabeth's generosity and the beauty of the mansion were overwhelming, but a sense of restlessness still troubled her heart. As she watched the moon shine through the window, Lucy pondered what secrets the old walls could hold. She knew that, despite the apparent tranquility, the days to come could reveal unexpected challenges. The next day, while exploring the mansion's extensive gardens with Annie, Lucy encountered Edward, Elizabeth's eldest son, who had come to visit his mother. Edward, a businessman with a serious demeanor, offered Lucy a courteous but reserved smile. His imposing presence was intimidating, however, his polite and interested conversation about Lucy's adaptation to her new life softened the first impression. Edward was intrigued by Lucy's ability to bring new life to the mansion, a place he confessed felt more like a museum than a home these days. While touring the gardens, Lucy stumbled upon a small greenhouse hidden behind dense bushes. Elizabeth, who accompanied them, explained that greenhouse had been a refuge for her husband, who loved gardening. The greenhouse was neglected, the glass dusty, and the withered plants spoke of years of oblivion. Lucy offered to take care of the space, seeing it as an opportunity to contribute more meaningfully to the house and perhaps grow some flowers or herbs that could bring Elizabeth more joy. The widow accepted enthusiastically, grateful for Lucy's initiative. As the days passed, the relationship between Lucy, Elizabeth, and Annie strengthened. Annie, with her childlike innocence, had won Elizabeth's heart, bringing a new shine to her eyes. Lucy, in turn, was beginning to feel like part of the Montgomery family, something she didn't expect when she accepted the job. However, the mansion, with its long hallways and rich history, still held secrets that Lucy intuitively felt needed to be discovered. One night, as Elizabeth shared old photographs of the family, Lucy noticed a look of passing sadness on the matriarch's face, suggesting that not all of the Montgomery family's stories were of happiness. One night, Lucy was awakened by whispers coming from the hallway. Curious and a little fearful, she followed the sounds to the library, where the moonlight illuminated stacks of ancient books and manuscripts. There, she found Edward, who seemed lost in deep thought, leafing through an old diary. Edward, surprised by Lucy's presence, hesitated, but then decided to share the story of an old scandal that had tarnished the Montgomery family's reputation. The diary belonged to her great-grandfather, who was involved in shady business dealings that almost ruined the family. Lucy listened carefully, realizing that the mansion held more secrets than she realized. Inspired by her conversation with Edward, Lucy decided to explore the greenhouse and surrounding gardens further to see if she could find anything that might have belonged to Edward's great-grandfather. While cleaning the greenhouse, Lucy discovered a box buried under the dry earth, covered in rust and dust. Inside, he found several old letters and personal effects that appeared to have been hastily hidden. The letters revealed details about illicit business and a forbidden love relationship that could shed light on many of the rumors that still circulated about the family. Lucy decided to confront Elizabeth with her discoveries, but as she did so, she realized how painful it would be for the matriarch to relive these memories. Elizabeth, however, was grateful for Lucy's honesty and decided it was time to face the past. Together, they decided to open the letters to the rest of the family during dinner, clarifying the mysteries and putting an end to the rumors. The revelation was a moment of tension, but also of catharsis for everyone involved, including Edward, who saw the opportunity to restore his family's honor. After the night of revelations, a new sense of transparency and understanding permeated the Montgomery mansion. Elizabeth, although initially shaken, found comfort in Lucy's honesty and support. Edward, now with a deeper understanding of his great-grandfather's struggles, felt more connected to his roots and determined to continue rebuilding his family's reputation. Lucy and Annie felt more and more like an integral part of the Montgomery family, and the mansion, once full of secrets, began to feel more like home. Motivated by the new openness in the mansion, Elizabeth proposed to Lucy the idea of renovating the greenhouse and turning it into a community garden center, not just for the family, but also as an open space for the local community. Lucy, enthusiastic about the idea, took the lead on the project, employing her skills and passion for gardening. Edward offered his logistical and financial support, seeing this as an opportunity to do something positive that would benefit everyone around him. As the greenhouse project took shape, Lucy saw the positive impact it was having not only on the garden, but also on the people involved. The community began to see the Montgomery family in a new light, and the barriers that once isolated the mansion from the rest of the city began to fall. Annie bloomed alongside the flowers in the garden, and her laughter became a frequent sound in the mansion's hallways. Lucy and Elizabeth, now not just as servant and mistress but as close friends, often shared long conversations about life, love and loss, finding mutual comfort in their company. Despite the visible progress in the mansion and greenhouse, not everything was serene. Lucy began to notice strange discrepancies in the mansion's accounting books that Edward had asked her to review. While sifting through old documents in the office, she discovered a series of dubious financial transactions that appeared recent. Worried about the possibility of new scandals, Lucy decided to investigate further, not knowing whether to involve Edward or Elizabeth in her still uncertain discoveries. Lucy confronted Edward with her findings, hoping there was a reasonable explanation. Edward, surprised and clearly distraught, confessed that he was trying to resolve some old family debts that had been mismanaged by his advisors. The confession led to a tense discussion between them, marked by a mix of disappointment and understanding. Edward apologized for keeping it a secret, promising greater transparency in the future. Lucy, although relieved by the honesty, felt increasingly involved in the family's personal and financial affairs. Elizabeth, upon learning of the incident, intervened to mediate the situation, reinforcing the importance of trust and mutual support within the family. With his guidance, Edward and Lucy worked together to establish a new, more robust and transparent financial management system. The incident served to strengthen the bond between Lucy and the Montgomerys, cementing her role not only as part of the team, but as a member of the family. With the crisis over, the greenhouse project flourished, symbolizing renewal and continued growth for everyone involved. With the mansion's financial system now more organized and transparent, Elizabeth decided it was time for Lucy to take on an even more significant role. She offered Lucy the position of estate manager, a recognition of her dedication and ability to bring stability to the mansion. Lucy accepted the position with gratitude and a little trepidation, aware of the challenge it represented. She got to work immediately, planning improvements not just to the greenhouse but to the entire estate, including restoring some of the mansion's older wings. As Lucy adjusted to her new responsibilities, Elizabeth organized an event to celebrate the rejuvenation of the greenhouse and officially introduce Lucy as the new property manager. The local community was invited, as well as important figures from the city. The event would also serve to solidify the Montgomery family's new image in the community. Lucy, nervous but excited, prepared for the event, aware that many eyes would be on her and the mansion. The night of the event arrived, and the mansion was buzzing with the arrival of guests. Lucy circulated among the guests, receiving compliments on the transformation of the greenhouse and the improvements to the property. Elizabeth watched with pride, pleased with the positive impact Lucy was having on the mansion and the family's reputation. During the event, Edward publicly announced Lucy's role in the mansion, highlighting her importance to the family and community. The night was a success, marking a new chapter for Lucy in the Montgomery mansion, one that promised more growth and, possibly, new challenges. Following the success of the event, as Lucy delved into the responsibilities of her new position, she found a set of old letters and diaries hidden in a secret compartment of the library, dating back several decades. These documents belonged to an ancestor of Elizabeth who was rumored to have disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The letters revealed details about internal family conflicts and secrets that were never openly discussed. Intrigued and a little disturbed, Lucy decided to investigate further, aware that the truth behind these letters could alter the understanding of the Montgomery family's history. Lucy shared her discovery with Elizabeth, who was visibly shaken by the memories brought to the surface. Together, they decided to explore family history further, seeking to understand what really happened to their missing ancestor. Elizabeth told stories heard in her youth, while Lucy made connections with the information in the letters. Their search for hidden truths led them to contact a local historian, who helped contextualize the documents and suggested possible locations on the property where more clues could be found. Investigations led Lucy and Elizabeth to an old cabin in the woods behind the mansion, long forgotten and overgrown. There, they discovered personal artifacts and more writings that belonged to the missing ancestor. One of the documents found was a map with notes that pointed to a possible cache of valuables and additional documents that could reveal reasons for her disappearance. Although thrilled by the discovery, both felt they were about to uncover aspects of the Montgomery family history that could be both disturbing and enlightening. Armed with the map found in the cabin, Lucy and Elizabeth decided to explore the marked location, an area of the property that had long been abandoned. Their search took them to an old underground cellar, covered in cobwebs and forgotten by time. There, they discovered a locked wooden box, which contained not only the missing ancestors' personal effects, but also legal documents and correspondence that shed light on an inheritance dispute that had divided the family decades ago. The documents revealed that the ancestor's disappearance was directly linked to a bitter conflict between him and another branch of the Montgomery family, who feared losing their share of the inheritance. Elizabeth, shocked by the revelations, felt torn between loyalty to her family and the desire for justice for someone who had been marginalized and, apparently, forced to disappear. Lucy, in turn, found herself more involved than ever, determined to help Elizabeth restore honor to the one who had been wronged. After much deliberation, Elizabeth decided it was time to bring the truth about the past to light so that the family could finally heal. He called a family meeting, in which he presented the discoveries and proposed that the ancestors' story be officially recognized and integrated into the family narrative. The meeting was tense, with some resistance from more conservative family members, but, in the end, the desire for reconciliation and understanding prevailed. Lucy, now seen not just as a manager but as a true friend and ally to the family, was instrumental in facilitating dialogue and promoting acceptance. After the revelation of ancient secrets and the resolution of the inheritance conflict, the Montgomery family experienced a rebirth. Elizabeth, relieved to have faced the past, dedicated herself to promoting family unity, organizing regular events at the mansion that brought all family members together. Lucy, now fully integrated, played a central role not only in the administration of the property, but also as a key player in mediating and strengthening family relationships. The mansion, once a symbol of division, has transformed into a true home for meetings and celebrations. Inspired by the transformation in her own family, Elizabeth decided to expand the positive impact beyond the mansion's gates. Under Lucy's leadership, the community greenhouse began to function as a teaching and collaboration center for the local community. Schools, senior groups, and other collectives were invited to participate in workshops and gardening activities, which quickly turned the Montgomery Mansion into a hub of community activity. This new initiative not only revitalized the property, but also reinforced the family's reputation as benefactors in the community. Despite the progress and apparent harmony, Lucy realized that not everyone was happy with the changes. Some community members, especially those with more traditional views, viewed the mansion's increasing involvement in community activities with skepticism and distrust. Additionally, a new real estate development planned nearby threatened to upset the area's environmental balance, which could have direct implications for the greenhouse and the mansion's conservation projects. Lucy found herself faced with a new set of challenges that would require all her skill and diplomacy to navigate. The news of real estate development planned for the vicinity of the Montgomery Mansion generated tension in the community. Lucy, concerned about the possible environmental and social consequences of the project, started a campaign to raise awareness among the community and developers about the importance of preserving the local environment. While organizing community meetings and preparing outreach materials, Lucy discovered that the project was more complex and potentially more damaging than she initially thought. During a community meeting, Lucy was approached by a group of local environmentalists who were also concerned about real estate development. Together, they formed a coalition, combining resources and knowledge to create an alternative proposal that minimized environmental impact and maintained the integrity of the region. This joint work also brought to light unexpected allies from within the Montgomery family itself, including Edward, who saw protecting the property's environmental legacy as a way to honor the memory of his ancestors. The coalition led by Lucy gained strength and eventually secured a hearing with the city council to discuss the development project. Lucy presented the alternative proposal, highlighting not only the environmental risks, but also the cultural and historical value of the area to the community. The session was intense, with heated arguments on both sides. In the end, the council decided to delay the decision, requesting more environmental impact studies, a small but significant triumph for Lucy and her coalition. After the partial success at the council meeting, Lucy and her coalition wasted no time. They began organizing workshops and educational events to raise environmental awareness in the community. Lucy took advantage of these opportunities to teach sustainable gardening and nature conservation techniques, using the greenhouse as a practical example. Elizabeth, seeing the community's growing involvement, offered more of the mansion's resources to support these initiatives, strengthening Lucy's position as a local environmental leader. Lucy's activities began to have a visible impact. More residents joined the cause, drawn by Lucy's passion and commitment. Public pressure grew so much that developers of the real estate project began seeking dialogue with the coalition, interested in modifying their plans to address environmental concerns. Lucy, with the support of Edward and other influential community members, negotiated terms that would ensure the preservation of significant areas of green space and the implementation of sustainable building practices. The outcome of the negotiations was a significant victory for the community and a testament to the power of collective action. The development project has been officially adjusted to include green zones and ecological infrastructure, with ongoing community oversight. Lucy was recognized at a special ceremony, where Elizabeth was keen to highlight her crucial role in not only preserving the mansion's environmental legacy, but also promoting sustainability throughout the community. This recognition further solidified Lucy's role in the Montgomery mansion and surrounding community, establishing her as a central figure in defending the environment and local heritage. With the environmental victory achieved and the community more united than ever, Lucy began to feel more confident in her role. However, the Montgomery mansion still held secrets that were about to be revealed. One day, while going through some old documents in the library, Lucy found a forgotten plan of an unmapped part of the property. Intrigued, she decided to explore the area, which led her to discover an old building covered in vegetation, apparently an old guest house that no one knew existed. Inside the abandoned guest house, Lucy found a collection of artifacts and books that appeared to belong to a member of the Montgomery family who many thought had moved abroad decades ago. The findings suggested that this person may have lived there in secret, perhaps due to family feuds or other unsolved mysteries. Lucy shared the discovery with Elizabeth, who was shocked but also curious about the implications of this revelation for her family history. Determined to fully understand the story, Elizabeth helped Lucy investigate more about the mysterious family member's life and motives. Together, they found correspondence and diaries that described a life of isolation, but also of deep reflection and love for property. They decided to restore the guest house, planning to turn it into a small museum dedicated to the lesser-known story of the Montgomery family. In doing so, they hoped to not only preserve the memory of their forgotten family member, but also teach future generations about the importance of facing and understanding the secrets of the past.